Once again, thank you very much, guys, for listening. This second segment of our discussion is based on unit number two. Unit number two, I'm not going to discuss unit number two, but what I'm going to do with unit number two, I'm going to try and just summarize what is expected of you. But Mr. Lufu, of course, is going to take you through this, the whole, unit number two to give you everything that you need in terms of understanding what is going on, with regard to unit number two. Unit number two is about teaching sensitive and controversial issues. Remember, even last year we spoke about controversial issues. Controversial issues are very important in social science. Social science is about everything that we have come to realize about the world. And the world today is based on many issues. Some of those issues are sensitive, of course, but some of them are not sensitive. So, but some of the issues that are there in the world, some of them are controversial. If you study history, you will actually understand that in recent times there are things that, for instance, are happening that spoke well to the issue of sensitive issues and controversial issues. So, in other words, sensitive issues we want to make sure that learners they do understand that, for instance, some of the issues that we are talking about are so sensitive, and we want to understand, learners to understand that some of the issues that we're talking about are controversial in nature. So you, as a social science teacher, you are going to deal with those issues. Those are the most important issues that you have to understand. So, but in terms of the content, what is expected of you or what you need to to learn, remember there is a module, there is a material that is posted on Moodle. This material is very important because it's going to assist you in terms of understanding what is controversial issues and what are sensitive issues. But just to highlight a few issues that are important here, you are going to look at the meaning and the role of sensitive issues in social sciences. So you have to deal with those sensitive issues. But in the short term, in a short space, you will have to understand the meaning. What is the meaning? What is the role? you know, and you have to define and you have to try and unpack, what does the issue of controversial issues does to the student. Remember that the student have to understand these issues and they have to know how to deal with the issues that are too sensitive to them because obviously, you know, social science is a sensitive subject. Also, the sensitive controversial issues, we're going to look at the component of history and we're going to look at the approaches in the historical context. Once we've done that, then we are going to look at the geography aspect. So we're going to look at sensitive issues around the issues of geography. And also we're going to look at the approaches or the approach, how to approach sensitive issues around geography issues. So the third unit talks about map work. As you can imagine that this module is about social science and it's about geography, is about history. So, but the one component that is going to be very central in this particular semester is the question of map work. So, what I expect you to do is to learn to understand why we teach map work in social sciences. Why, for instance, as a teacher, you have to be ready to understand the role of map work so that when you are teaching map work in school, you're not going to bang, you're not going to say this does not belong to me. This is your core responsibility as a social science teacher to teach map work. So here we are going to try and discuss the values of maps. So why maps are very important. So we look at the values. What if you study maps? What is the rationale behind studying maps? What value do they bring to your learning, your teaching of geography, your teaching of history? Because map cuts across all disciplines. So we look at the issues of air photographs. Okay, why air photographs are important? Why you as a social science teacher you are supposed to learn about air photographs, and how do you take those air photographs and why are they so important? But also we are going to also discuss issues related to the approaches of teaching map work in various levels of school curriculum. So we are going to look at map work across the curriculum, lower grades, which is your foundation phase, look at the intermediate phase, look at the senior phase, and look at the FAT phase. Unfortunately, because you are operating in the intermediate phase, we're going to look at those that are applied to your context. So we're not going to look at everything. So I will be bringing those kind of debate and discussions, and sometimes I will be bringing even those maps, for you to relate and be able to understand what we are talking about here. So also the issue of developing mapping skills in social science. So I will be talking about what is it that you need to know about map work in terms of the skills that you need to have, the issues of cartography, issues of digitization, issues of interpolation, issues of scale, the issues around how do you increase the interpretation, the interpolation, and all of those things. So that is all about map work. So you'll see that, for instance, even in our module, there is an activity that relates to your map work. But let's move along and talk about our unit 4, which talks about curriculum differentiation and adaptive teaching and learning in social science. So we'll be looking at that as one of our main issue or our main topic. So here we're looking at the meaning of differentiated approach or adaptive approach. What is it that we're talking about here? What is the meaning of differentiated approach? For instance, when we are teaching, how to make sure that, for instance, all the learners in your class are treated, fairly. For instance, because remember that they are different, that is why we talk about differentiated approach. So how to make sure that, for instance, as they are different, you are able to bring them together, you are able to explain the concept in geography and in history, which will enable them to learn more about geography and history. So the issue of adaptive approach. Adaptive approach is all about how do you make sure that learners adapt to your teaching. How do they learn to accustom to what we are saying, and they become very, very happy, and they accept that they are different, and they accept that they are of different level of understanding, mental ability, or mental understanding. So all those things. So but also we do that because we want to deal with the issues of barriers to teaching and learning in social science. So this is our main aim. What are the barriers? What makes these learners perform differently, and what makes these learners fail to perform? What are the barriers? So that at least when you teach, you understand that there are certain barriers that you need to be aware of, and you have to make sure that you help these learners to make sure that they understand what is at stake. We also talk about here the design of differentiated teaching and activities, strategies, and material to respond to teaching barriers. So we'll talk about that. We'll just try and get to that aspect, as we move on and try and get to that point and understand. So, guys, for now, I'm going to stop here for this particular segment. I'm going to come back with unit number 1. So tomorrow I will be presenting unit number 1, and then I will be trying to take you through the whole lesson or the whole perspective about active learning. And please, guys, take time to read, take time to learn all these things, and as we move along, I will be able to to pronounce on the activities that you're supposed to do. But for now, don't do anything. Try and wait for me, because we are still negotiating the activities that you are supposed to do, formal activities, of course, so that you'll be able to be ready and you'll be able to start as soon as possible. I'd like to thank you very much, guys. I'll see you later. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Mnugo speaking. Yeah, this semester is very short, and I would like you to take this opportunity and grab it with both hands. Please, guys, try and work with us. Work with me, work with Ms. Chalufu, This module, as you can understand from the previous experience, is the module that requires you to focus, to concentrate, to do all the activities as per the requirement. Please don't do what you want here. Try and make sure that you follow the instructions, you listen to what we are saying, and please don't try and bunk. Don't try and do something that is really going to jeopardize and put your academic record and career, in a bad light. This is the opportunity for you to do the right thing, the opportunity for you to work very hard and to prove to yourself, to your conscience, to your parents that you are the most responsible person on earth. And I know that, for instance, this year you are doing level 4, and next year you're not supposed to be here. So this opportunity is for you, and I'm not trying to lecture you about ethics, about values, about attitudes, about everything that really does not actually requires you to, but I'm trying to say to you, try and work with us, try and be focused, try and make sure that you do the right thing every time you come to class. Unfortunately, there is no class, but this is the class that I've created. I'm going to be using these particular videos, this particular software, to try and convey every message that I know it's going to be difficult for you to download, but I've decided to take this one because it will be easy for you to listen to what I'm saying, to listen to the things that I am going to be emphasizing on, and you take the step forward in terms of trying to follow what I am looking for. For now, thank you very much.